Oh, still today? Damn it, I have to film my review for Palm Springs again. Palm Springs is a new 2020 movie. I heard about the movie. I heard it had sort of a similar plot to Groundhog Day, of someone they're reliving the same day over and over again. And it stars Andy Samberg, who was in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which I'm on about season 4 now, and I've been absolutely loving that show. And I didn't really know anything else, so I'm not going to spoil any extra areas of the plot here. Even though there's a lot of areas of the plot I'd really love to talk about, I'm not going to talk about them in this review because they are spoiler heavy, and I want you to go in completely blind watching this movie, because this is easily the most fun movie I've watched of 2020 so far. I had such a good time watching Palm Springs. This movie is hilarious, clever, and great. Now, I love Groundhog Day. I think that's an amazing movie. There's a few other films that have done that concept really well, such as Edge of Tomorrow, of that reliving the same day over and over again. There's a few others that have done it. And Palm Springs, I thought, would do it in a much more comedic route, and that's what it does, of course. But the thing that this movie does well is it takes elements of that concept and surprisingly makes it quite self-aware. It knows exactly what it is. It makes fun of this concept, and it has such a good time doing so. Let's talk about the relationship, because this is a rom-com. It's a relationship that forms due to this, because of course it's two people now doing it. So we get to see both of their different stories interweaved and connected and how they meet, and I love that aspect of the movie. And the relationship is done really, really well. This is only a 90-minute movie, so it's a very short film, but I felt really engaged and invested in the romance particularly, and I thought it was really well handled. Both of these performances are really great. You can obviously tell that it affects both of these people in completely different ways, opposite ways in fact, and that was something I found really interesting. I really loved Niles' character played by Andy Samberg. He was hilarious in the movie, and he sold every single moment. I love his humour, and it's done so well. I loved it. It was so good. There was many times where I was continuously laughing in the dialogue that was coming out of his mouth, but also there was an emotional aspect to this character. He's been living this day for how many long knows, and he's just completely given up. He doesn't care anymore. And you can really tell. You can really tell it's affecting him. And when he meets this person, the relationship there changes his mindset. And I love the arc his character goes through from beginning to end. I think that's really, really clever. And it's really well done. You watch the first act, and you realise certain things after some twists have been revealed that I did not expect. And things about this day restarting over, and it's able to take that concept of reliving the same day and make it really unique, add some tension to there, add a romance into there, add loads of self-awareness into it. And when you look back at the first act, a lot of what these movies don't do, the first act is basically just the setup of the day. That first act has loads of little bits of imagery or things on signs or dialogue that is said that then really impacts the plot later. There's a line of dialogue that he says at the very start of the film, and I was just like, that's great, that is amazing, that's going to mean something later, and it did. And I really loved that aspect of the movie. It just felt so smart and so well done. Yet at the same time, this is extremely self-aware and hilarious. This movie didn't need to be clever. It could have just been a really silly comedy of someone living the same day over and over again, interweaved with a romance. But the thing this movie does so well is that it actually has really smart plotting and really well done, executed, a really well executed story. It's really well written, and the humour comes so well. It sometimes feels improvised and really well done, and it's paced in a certain way where it feels so quick. And that leads me into some of my issues with the movie. I don't think it's perfect, even though I think it achieves what it's supposed to do very well. There are times where I felt like it should have been much longer. 90 minutes just wasn't enough to tell this entire story. It flowed very nicely, and I felt all the beats it needed me to feel, but there's some elements of the film, especially in the middle act, that I felt should have been really deepened upon and made a lot longer, and it feels a bit rushed in that aspect. And the ending, even though I would have liked just a bit more conclusion, because it's just really one scene of conclusion with a funny joke, which I really enjoyed. But I would have liked there to be a little more conclusion for the characters, just showing a little more of the ending, and that bit disappointed me a bit there. And of course this concept isn't fully original, but what this film does with it is really unique and clever, which is what I appreciate about it. And it is very funny, and it's able to hit on the emotional strings. It's able to be clever in the character and writing department as well. Also, this movie is really well shot. There's a shot of an eye that opens every single time they wake up, and it's really cool. Every time that shot came on, I felt impressed by it for some reason. Again, all the performances are really good. The first act does feel slow. It feels like, okay, you're just waiting for it to happen. But I feel like if you don't know of the plot, like I knew it was some form of Groundhog Day plot, and I was just waiting for that to occur. I didn't know anything else about the movie, but I feel like if you don't know that, then the first act won't feel as slow. You'll just feel invested, and it really does get you into the characters. And of course, it means a lot much later. So when you're back on the movie, you're like, well, it was sort of slow at the start, but actually, it was all really clever. Also, J.K. Simmons in this movie. He always pops up in films. He's always great. He is amazing here. I loved him in this movie. He had great motivations. I really loved his character in this film. He does a great job. The music also was really, really good. I really liked the song choices. They added a lot, and they actually mean things. The words playing in them actually mean things, what they're going on. Really good soundtrack. So yeah, I really, really did love Palm Springs. I have a few issues with it. I think it should have been a bit longer, really extended in certain aspects, and it could have been more investing. There's large sections of the movie where these two people are apart, and I wish maybe we spent a bit more time with them together. We really just get a montage of their romance, which is good, but I would have liked a bit more developing towards that, to really hit on the emotional beats more towards the end, which I thought were earned. But overall, I think Palm Springs is such a fun movie. It's one of my favourites of 2020 so far. 2020 has not been a good year for movies, but this movie, you know, it surprised me. I had such a good time watching it. It's so fun, it's so clever, it's enjoyable, it takes this concept and does unique things with it. I really want to talk about some of the little elements of the movie, some of the little plot elements that I just really, really loved. But I may save that for another video. I probably won't do like a spoiler review or anything, but I would just like to talk about some of those plot elements. But this is definitely the most fun movie I've seen all year, and it's a movie that I want to go back and rewatch all the time, because I feel like I'll notice certain things more and have such a good time watching it. And I really enjoyed this. It's not quite as good as Groundhog Day, because that movie really started this entire sort of formula, but this movie does really unique things with it, and I really enjoyed it, and it's the sort of humour that really lands for me. And I had a great time, really great time watching Palm Springs, and I think you should definitely check it out. It's such a fun movie. I'm going to give Palm Springs a B+. I'm also going to give this movie an 8.3 out of 10. Guys, comment down below your opinions on Palm Springs. If you have seen it, make sure to check out my letterbox down below for more reviews. And of course, thanks for watching, and goodbye.
Stop! There's a bomb in the cake. Don't worry, I used to be a bomb guy. Stand back!